Hello, welcome back to Mark's House and Garden UK. I'm on the phone mic, so I hope the sound is okay. This has got absolutely wet through in the recent rain and stopped working, so this is the phone mic. Now, I want to show you something and then I'm going to move on to the main subject of this video. Right, I've recently pruned my apple trees and as you can see, I've been left with lots of prunings, and on this table here is a little idea of something I'm going to do, and that is a rustic hanging basket. You can see here I've made a kind of a tower or a basket of apple tree limbs or branches. You can see happily that they grow in nice straight pieces. I've lined it and I've stacked it up, and I will drill through the corners and I will use some thick twine to make a hanging string, and we will put some moss in it and possibly some orchids or some ferns. So there we go. So that's just one idea for what I'm going to do with all these prunings from my recent hedge pruning adventures, but that's not the main point of this video. Okay, so it's been really wet and really windy and really miserable, but spring is just around the corner. So I'm going to show you several little pieces of evidence in my garden, which I'm calling harbingers of spring, evidence that spring is really just around the corner. And stick around, because one of them right at the end has been a wonderful surprise for me, because it results from something I did this time last year. Sorry, my nose is running because of the wind in the air today. So let me go handheld and let me give you a guided tour of all the little pieces of evidence in my garden that spring is almost upon us. So let's leave my little crafting project behind and go around the front of the cottage, and look at that. The sun's come out. Wonderful. Another harbinger of spring, which will make it even more difficult to get the right light in this video. Look, there's the watering hole which I put in last year for the wildlife that come into my garden and need a drink, and I've put it there so that you can see it from the cottage. And talking of the cottage, we're going to go round the front of the cottage for the first harbinger of spring, and it's a beautiful, pretty little thing. In fact, there are three outside the front of the cottage on the grass verge here. Right, here we are. I hope the wind noise is not causing too much of a problem on the phone mic. Look at these little snowdrops. Aren't they adorable? Beautiful, pure, white, little flowers, gorgeous little green tips on the inner flower there. And right next to them here in the grass, slightly damaged by the wind and the rain, crocuses, crocuses, I don't know what the plural is. And this is the plant, of course, that you get saffron from. I don't think the stamens from inside these are edible, but apparently saffron off crocuses is worth more than the weight of gold. Look at that. And here, these will be little Spanish bluebells when they eventually come up. And down here, just down here a bit further along, I have some ornamental poppies springing into life. Spring by name and spring by nature. Let's go down here, because down here, and I'm really excited, you can probably tell by my voice, daffodils. I wandered lonely as a crowd that floats on high on moors and hills, and all at once I saw a crowd, a host of golden daffodils. Some more crocuses there, look. Beautiful. Not yellow yet, but they will be. Some of them look blind, which I think is a sign that they didn't get enough water last year. But anyway, we will get some, because I've seen some. Right, let's go behind the cottage now, to the back, where I will show you four more harbingers of spring. This is my gravel garden. We'll be back here in a moment, and down the side of the cottage I have my long border with my lollipop olives. And while we're passing, let me just bring your attention to something. I put that fence in last year, do you remember? It was to protect these two, because they were blown bare by the prevailing wind coming through. Look at them this year. They've survived the winter incredibly well. Look at that. So the fence has been the big success, and we're going to go on the other side of that fence now, and I will show you a couple more harbingers of spring. Right, there's the garden furniture covered up. Look at this down here. There's one, and over here is a second one of those very same plants, and this is a voodoo lily. I want to bring your attention to the colour of the pattern on the stalk here. This is a voodoo lily. Now the interesting thing about this is it will grow up and it will have a trumpet shaped flower which smells of rotting flesh. How awful, and it does smell of rotting flesh, and it attracts flies, which is not brilliant when we're eating, but never mind. I didn't put that there, somebody else did, so I'm not taking responsibility. Another harbinger of spring here, called Cosmea. Look at this. All popping up here, ready to sprout, and we'll have some lovely red flowers on there. Right, we are going to the piggery. There's me, quick wave in the mirror. We're going to the piggery. Now what's the piggery? Well, this building here is the piggery. And it's called a piggery because that's the pig pen. Interesting this, actually. We'll be coming back to a harbinger of spring in a moment. Interesting. This is where the pig used to live. In olden days, there's an arched doorway. The pig would come in and out of there, and they would feed the pig from slops from inside the house. Called them slops, waste food, leftover food. Do that hole there in the wall. Recycling, sustainability. Feed the pig with your slops. Eat the pig. Feed the next pig anyway. That's how it used to be done. Under these rotten leaves here are my gunneras. The leaves were put over the crowns to protect them. And look where this one is cracking here. Brand new growth. Believe it or not, and you will see if you follow my channel, those leaves will be 5 or 6 foot high by the end of the year. And the same pattern will be repeated. They are in very boggy ground, by the way. There's pond liner underneath them and about 3 foot of soil. It stays wet. They love wet soil. So there's another harbinger of spring. Look at this. Here's another one. Hellebore. I didn't plant this. It's a rogue plant. I don't know where it's come from, but it's here, and I love the fact that it's here because look at that flower. Can you see that in this half light? Let me hold the camera and the flower still so that it focuses on that beautiful lime, yellow, green. Isn't that wonderful? And look at the serrated edges on these leaves there. Interesting plant. And it has a strange kind of smoky tobacco-like smell. Excuse me. I don't know if you've ever wandered through a city and you've smelt marijuana. This has that kind of smell of an evening. When I first moved here, don't tell anyone, I thought it was my neighbour's, but it isn't. It's that plant. So, we've got gunneras, piggery, hellebore, and I promise you we'll be going back round the front, and that is where we will go right now because I've had a wonderful surprise. Last year, inside the cottage in that window ledge there, I had a trough with tete-a-tete, tiny little daffodils, and at the end of the after they'd finished, I decided to plant them in the garden. And that's exactly what I did. And look at this. Talk about getting value for money. There they are. Aren't they absolutely gorgeous? Look at the size of that next to my thumbnail. No bigger than a pound coin. Dainty and pretty. And I planted them here. Along with these blue things. I'm calling them blue things because I do know the name, but I can't remember the name, so I'm sorry. We'll have to come back to that. I might flash it up on the screen. But look at those, aren't they gorgeous? Look, tete-a-tete, head to head in French, because there are two there on the same stalk. Head to head, tete-a-tete. And there's absolutely no reason why they won't come up year after year after year. And so I will get years of pleasure from one spend. So there we go. Some more daffodils at the back. And the final thing I will finish with, show you, is 1, 2, 3 hydrangea Annabelles. Looking quite sorry for themselves, but look. You don't have to look far down here to see little green shoots. Let's call them the green shoots of recovery. There's some on that one and some on that one, and again, unbelievably, within 2 or 3 months they'll be 3 foot high, and by the end of the year they'll have those lovely massive big white green flowers on them. Hydrangea, Annabelle's, wonderful. So there we go. Hope you've enjoyed that. I'm very excited, as you can probably tell. I love this time of year, going into spring, going into summer. I don't like winter very much because I don't get out in the garden very often. There's my parterre. Did I mention my club earlier? Right, Mark's House and Garden UK Club. You can join it on my website. It's only £1 a month. You get a newsletter and you also get entered into a prize draw for everything that product providers send me. And they've sent me 2 of those security cameras, solar powered, and I'll be giving one of those away on the 1st of March. So if you join up before the 25th of Feb, you'll be in the draw for that. I'll see you soon for some more springtime house and garden adventures. Bye for now.